Hello, everybody. This is the Municipal Truth and Reconciliation Committee meeting for June 14th, 2021. So we'll just get started. And one, I'll call the meeting to order. So that's number one on the agenda. Number two, land acknowledgement by Mayor Doug Lawrence. Yes.
Thanks, Chair Darlene. As we start our meeting, we acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of the Sioux First Nation, and that Sioux Chief Clifford Bull is with us. We're in the area of Treaty 3, and many of the communities and people we service in Sioux Lookout also come from Treaties 5 and Treaty 9. I think I'd also like to just take a moment. I know we have a few items on the agenda in which this will be discussed, but to acknowledge the tragic deaths of the findings of the 215 children's remains in Kamloops at a former Indian residential school, which a sad situation. I'm sure we'll talk about it a bit more under the memorial, but just to take a moment to acknowledge that. And although we are in Truth and Reconciliation Committee, acknowledge the mass killings, the murders of senseless killings of 4 Muslims in London, Ontario. And hope for better days. So, and I also want to acknowledge, I know Chief Bull, thank you for joining us. I know you've had busy times with some tragedy out there today in Kijik Bay. So thank you for coming, and feel for you in your community. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, number 3A, introduction of amendments to the agenda. Anybody? Yes, Mayor.
I'd like to take a moment, maybe items E and F, if it's people are willing to talk about Indigenous Peoples Day, and also to talk about Canada Day.
Indigenous Peoples Day. Wait, okay.
Which is June 21st, I think, and Canada Day, which is July 1st, and just talk about the the possible, how recent news might influence those celebrations or such as they are.
All right. Okay, so items E and F will be added on items for discussion, number 8. Okay. Anybody else? Shall we move on? Okay. 3B, confirmation of the agenda. So I'll need a mover, seconder. Everybody's fine. Eileen will move. Seconder. Joyce. Okay. Okay. All right. So we'll move on to number 4, declarations of pecuniary interest. None, as usual. Okay. Number 5, the adoption of the minutes from May 17th, 2021. Everybody was sent a copy. I have nothing to say about that. No? Okay, so I guess we'll adopt the minutes then. Dated May 17th, 2021. I need a mover for that one. So, okay, who's first? What's on second?
Joyce.
Joyce moves. Seconder. Can't see what Lynn's doing, but okay. Everybody fine?
Oh, it's Candace. I'll second it.
Candace? Okay. Thank you. Great. Okay, so the minutes are adopted from May 17th. Okay, number 6, business arising from the minutes. 6A, returning to spirit funding update from Eileen.
So thank you for the the reminder. So I did contact the United Church. There is some funding that might apply, but it's not open to apply yet. There is a fund that the application deadline is the 15th of September, and I believe they will accept admissions in August. So I'll work on that and bring a proposal
All right.
to the August meeting probably.
Okay. Okay, now 6B, the flagpole additional costs update from Michelle LaRose.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to the committee, at the last meeting, I believe I indicated the cost of one flagpole was somewhere in around $2,300. So our annual allocation of $2,500 will cover that flagpole. We will find money in our budget for us. We want to get 2 more flagpoles, another one as well for a municipal flag. And I talked to Richard Fenlon, and he said it would be approximately $1,200, $600 a piece to put the cement in and secure the poles. So he indicated that the town could probably find the money in the budget as well under facilities as well to take care of that. So we're going to proceed with the ordering of the poles. I had told him to order the poles. So he's on holidays right now, so I don't know what the estimated time of arrival is, but as soon as they come in, I'll notify the committee.
So that's 2 poles, one pole for the First Nation flag, right? On the municipal property, and then the other one is
Just an additional flagpole for the municipality because we don't even have a municipal flag. So we're looking for an additional pole, and then that pole will be used to put other flags up throughout the year for Alzheimer's Month, Pride Month, things of that nature.
okay. All right. Okay. Thank you, Michelle. Yes. Okay, number 7, delegations, presentations, committee presentations. It says nil, so there are no delegations. Number 8, items for discussion. So 8A is the memorial at Wellington Street regarding the Kamloops Residential School Children's Remains by Doug Lawrence.
So thanks, everybody. And first off, I think I'd like to say thank you to Darlene and acknowledge all the work you did along with others to maintain that memorial and be vigilant there. And still, I'm not sure if you're still attending. I see.
I don't know. I haven't been there for a while.
I still see some of the memorial items that are there. And I want to acknowledge and thank Garnet Angie Kaneb for talking to me about how we might proceed there and joining with me to set up the initial wreath there, and his words. And I'd also like to acknowledge and thank Chief Bull for inviting me to his community for a memorial type service at Frenchman's Head. I think I can't quite remember which day it was, but shortly after the discoveries in Kamloops, and it was a privilege to be there, Chief. Thank you. I didn't have many words, and I don't think it's our time to speak. The people were speaking so eloquently and meaningfully that had been through the schools or were survivors or were extended family of the system. So really, sort of adding this, we've got the next item is Centennial Park. And if anybody ever takes the time to read my Mayor's Desk articles, you might have noticed that I sort of threw into one of them that I'd be speaking to the TRC. I'm conflating item A and B here, Chair. I hope that's okay.
Yeah.
Bring them together.
Go ahead. Yes.
I thought the site that Wellington is always so useful, that curve on the road there, because it is so visible and catches people's attention. When I said to Garnet, sure, let's do it, I wasn't sure if we own the land anymore. We've sold the land, but I think we own quite a wide chunk there. Michelle, you could tell me, do we still own?
I can't tell you exactly, but I think we are encroaching, but
We are,
that's
okay. But that's okay. Centennial Park came to my mind as why don't we set up something that's permanent, but in a more park-like setting, somewhere where we could always go. And also it struck me that people are going there already. A lot of people are going there. We had something before there. So this would be, to me, I'd like to, my thought is to reestablish a real park-like setting there with benches and a memorial to, and I would take direction from the Indigenous members on the committee here. Look for direction. I can take your direction. I can't take it too far. I have a lot of people I have to get to agree with me before it goes anywhere. But to use that as a place of dignity, to increase the dignity for everybody. So it would be, benches, a memorial, a place where we can go, whether it be have a fire pit area there, the stones, the grandfather stones, the rocks that are already there, incorporated into just, I'm not trying to design it, but you get the idea, create that space. And I think it would be a good idea to include washrooms in a park like that, that would help everybody. So I'd really like to sort of up, and I'm not thinking about a $10,000 project. The washrooms that I'm thinking of are probably, Michelle, they're in the range of $100,000, $120,000, I think, 150. So, and then spend more money on landscaping, create the right kind of park for the kind of memorial that we had at Centennial Park, but this would be a permanent fixture in Sioux Lookout, recognizing, memorializing the Indian residential school system in its history and the damage done, and also a place to celebrate things as well. So that's my rough idea. And it would have to, obviously, my thought was that if the committee thought that that location was suitable, I just see it as an opportunity to address the fact that we don't have a space like that. It's not, this isn't a powwow grounds. That's not what this is. This is for the kind of events that just happened, and a permanent recognition where it's front and center, public, can help to increase acknowledgement, awareness, be a little bit of education, and recognition of the important role that it all plays in Sioux Lookout and continues to play in our history and in our present and in our future. So I'll throw that out, and Michelle, you take it away. You can, and I'll turn it back to the chair after. I should turn it back to the chair.
I have nothing further to add, Your Worship. This came from an idea that you had with reference to what happened or what was discovered in Kamloops, and we had discussions. There was at some point, I believe, a couple budgets ago, to put in washrooms at Centennial Park that are self-cleaning, so that we don't have to worry about it. They self-clean after every use. The door is locked. They self-clean for about, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes. And then they're ready to go again for the next user. As well, in speaking to Carl Duell, he was mentioning too that we used to have benches and picnic tables, and for whatever reason they were taken out. And so he indicated that perhaps that could be a sacred place of reflection, turn it into like a sacred place of reflection as well. for anybody and for families, for Indigenous peoples, for all walks of life in Sioux Lookout. So those are some of the ideas that have come up recently with reference to the findings in Kamloops.
And sorry, I would just add too that I thought that it was an appropriate time to suggest the renaming of the park from Centennial to perhaps, I just, in my article, speculated reconciliation. I'm not trying to make any decisions. I'm just throwing out some ideas, and I'm not so sure that Centennial's come and go. The next, we rename it Bicentennial Park or whatever. I don't think it's a particular attachment to anybody, whereas it could have some special meaning for Sioux Lookout with another name. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. Yeah. I think right now they have 7 rocks that are in a circle out there, and each rock, because there's 7, that represents the 7 teachings. I forget what they are. Truth, whatever, honesty. I can't even remember all the 7, but anyway, something along those lines, something that would be healing for people. When we look at what's under the bridge there with the pictures in black and white, something like that could be, pictures of things from residential school. The picture of those boys sitting on the hillside, that was from residential school, and those boys were from Lac Seul First Nation. I don't know if you want the school itself to be part of that picture, but there could be other pictures that could be used. But it could also talk about the healing. I don't know if you want text. And I think you would gear it more towards healing than the actual history, and not the actual history, but I mean, not something that'll make people feel too bad, because you know, I think what's needed for people now who are in that park are more ways to reflect on, ways to heal, calming words, maybe, or phrases, and even the pictures to reflect something like that. I don't know about benches. They were taken out years ago, but all the benches were taken out everywhere, even in front of the courthouse. And it made it hard for seniors who wanted to walk towards, downtown. But yeah, so I could see something like that, in a circle format, with cement or hard surface place where people can walk around it somehow, or around, and look at those things. So it would have to be designed by somebody, I would imagine, or designed with consultation of the public here in Sioux too. So I like the idea of the washrooms. And what else? Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then the memorial for Wellington, I can give an update on that. We decided to go there, and how it started was the laying down of orange t-shirts. And the first day we didn't have any shoes or anything. There was the flowers, and by the second day there were about 3 pairs of shoes, and by the end of that day there was 32 shoes. And it went on and on. Each day people brought shoes, because that's what was happening across the country. People were laying down shoes and flowers and toys, stuffed animals. People gave donations because we gave out those t-shirts. And so we collected, I forget, $651 or something like that altogether. We're just going to send it to that band to bring home, the children. So that's what we're going to do with it. We can always buy more t-shirts, from somewhere. And yeah, so we'll contribute those monies to that. We received donations of water and T-shirts from another school, NNEC, I believe, maybe Wasa, I'm not sure, and and people came and got them, and they've been hanging them, from their yards, windows. So I think the awareness from just being out there for that week, there was 3 or 4 of us. Out there on a regular basis. 2 of us for sure. We got pretty burnt. It was really hot. um, but we stayed out there. And it was good to talk to people because sometimes they would come and they were just so full of emotion, and I would just tell them there are 215 shoes that formed the heart, and Garnet was part of that. He suggested a heart when he came by the one day. So that's what we did after that. And then the rest of the shoes were lined up with the flowers in that area. But the 215 pair of shoes forming the heart portion was just to show, how many pairs of shoes there would have been. And so it was okay. We talked to people. Some of them, were crying and very heartbroken over what happened and the findings, and it's just they just couldn't fathom, what this was. Some of them were just learning about it. Residential schools, they'd never really heard about it, and yeah, we've met all kinds of people, and hopefully. Hopefully it's developed a little bit more understanding within the community here. So we didn't really receive any negative um, comments or anything like that. So that was good. I have the shoes in my storage locker here at my house, as well as the tobacco. The tobacco bowl was donated by Melody McIver, and she said that we could burn that bowl, that birch bark bowl, after. Um, so what we'll do is we'll give it to somebody who will burn it, because a lot of people contributed the prayer along with that tobacco into that bowl. So I have that here at my house right now. What else can I say? Um, Last week we didn't go out at all because the person that was helping me was gone for the week, so we didn't really get out there for the week. And then we had a National Day of Prayer on June the 6th. National Day of Prayer was held across Canada from different places, and it had to do with the 215. So at noon we formed a circle around that heart. There were different spiritual and elderly and um, church. Eileen, you were there, and I think the Anglican Church with Bill Morris. He didn't really say that he was representing the church, but you know, yeah. So we had the prayer people out there for that day. And it was really nice. Everybody kind of ended up being 6 feet around the heart, so it was good. Yeah, so that's my update regarding the Wellington Street. For now, we're going to, um, I guess I'll probably check out on the exhibit tomorrow and maybe start taking things away. Um, but we are going to end up donating the shoes, so we'll take a look through them and see what kind of shoes are brand new or in excellent condition. There's a lot of moccasins. Some of them are adult size, so we'll probably try to donate to the shelter. Or if the shelter won't accept them, we'll probably give some to the hostel. And the children's shoes we'll donate to the women's shelter as well as to the hostels. So, and if we can't get rid of them, I guess we'll just might have a community giveaway if we have to. So that'll take care of that. And okay. I guess that's it for me on those points A. I mean, 8A and B. Yes, Eileen.
I was having a conversation with Garnet,
Mhm.
and he was asking what was going to happen with the shoes. He was very moved by the heart with the 215.
Yeah,
There's the
there was
shoe.
there were about 215 plus about maybe another 65 shoes, I think. So there were a lot of shoes. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was asking what was going to happen with them, and I said that I'd talked to you, and you had said you were probably going to give them to different places.
Yeah.
And he said, "Is there any possibility that some of the shoes could be kept and talk to some of the artistic people in town and make some sort of artwork with
Mhm.
some of the shoes?" Um, you know, we didn't have concrete ideas, but it was also the thought that maybe something made with the shoes
Yeah.
could also go in the park when there's when a memorial goes.
Okay.
So so keep us in mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said to Garnet I would contact a couple of people who do that kind of installation art and have a preliminary meeting to kind of get some ideas and see who else might be involved in creating something.
Yeah. Okay.
So
That
yeah,
sounds good.
keep some shoes for us.
Yeah. I'll keep some.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Anybody else about that memorial or?
No, just again, thank you so much, Darlene. It's been very
Yeah.
significant and moving to be there.
Yeah. It was nice little area. I never really sat there before. And I find a lot of people use that bench too. So there were a lot of people who walk there and they stop at that bench and sit there or in the area. And it was really interesting to see. And the amount of traffic that just goes by. Suluco is a very busy place. Yeah, interesting.
I was wishing for that time of prayer, the National Day of Prayer, that we could have stopped the traffic and rerouted it round, round the other side of town because it was so noisy and really difficult to hear. Anyway,
Okay, thanks. Okay, so I guess we'll move on now to 8C, update on the powwow meeting with Nishnabega Friendship Center.
Thank you, Chair. I followed up with Jennifer Thomas. It had been some time since we talked, and the last time we talked, she was supposed to talk to her board and the elders at the Gamut Friendship Center regarding the possibility of collaborating on a powwow and possibly a feast in conjunction with our memorialization next year. And she indicated that they're very much interested in working with us, as like the municipality and the Friendship Center, as well as other agencies in town, to put this together. So I just wanted to update the committee to say that we did meet since the last meeting to follow up on that, and that we're going to be involving the elders that are used to doing these powwows so that it's done right. And at the same time, too, the mayor and I have put in delegations to speak to various ministers. And so in the upcoming AMO conference in August. So we'll be looking to, we've asked for a delegation with the Indigenous Affairs Minister in hopes that we could get some funding too to go towards the memorialization, as well as to start a more regular powwow, whether or not it's done every year, every second year, to start that ball rolling. And as well, I've asked staff to investigate funding from both the provincial and the federal counterparts for these projects.
Great. Yeah. Yes, Mayor.
Maybe it's just a good time to add. I had a teleconference with our MP Eric Malello this morning and discussed the the Kamloops situation and the government, all parties' willingness to provide money for investigations. And I said I'd be speaking to Chief Bull, but it would be up to Chief Bull and Indigenous leaders as to what happens at the Pelican Falls school site, but also the possibility of looking using that search money to search in the areas of the Old Zone Hospital, Northwood. It was in general the TB sanatoriums that were established across the country, and then the hospitals that came out of those that perhaps, that would need to be Indigenous led. It is within the municipality. Some of it's on federal land. So I just asked him to if he had any influence, because he does sit on the Indigenous Affairs, Indian Affairs Committee of Parliament. Used to be Indian Affairs, Indigenous Affairs Committee of Parliament, to see if he could make the umbrella large enough to cover not just residential school sites, but other such government facilities to which Indigenous people were taken for whatever reason, tuberculosis among them. So I'm not sure. I can have that. I'm not sure what you think, Chief Bull.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, there's been some discussion with the NNEC, Norma Kijik, at the site there. As you know, it's run by the other First Nations up north through NNEC, and Lac Seul being the traditional landsholder. So she really wanted to get boots on the ground and start searching. And just do it, she said. Never mind the funding, we'll worry about that later. But I said, I don't think that can happen, because you just don't go and start digging up ground and all those things, and you don't have a plan. So we need to take a step back and bring in all the players, including the municipality, the hospital, because we know there's some children buried at the cemetery in Sioux Lookout that died at Pelican. So those kind of things this has to be a coordinated effort by everybody. And NNEC, the municipality, the chiefs, NAN, NNEC Treaty 3, and I mean, it's got to be a plan. And like, if we just go out and let's say you find something, what are you going to do with the remains? You have to get a coroner involved. You have to do, all these things have to be done. So I want to do it correctly. I don't want to rush. I've been telling this to James Morris at the SLIFNA Health Board, and also to Wally McKay and others. And I told Norma, we just can't do it. NNEC can't do it by themselves. It's got to be everybody, because we had members that went from up north. There was a lot of youth that came from up north that attended Pelican as well. So they have an interest, a direct interest at what goes on there. So, and we know there's funding. We haven't explored that yet, and how much funding, we don't know. So there's got to be a table set up, I believe, a task force, perhaps a table, and then we plan. And hopefully we can have that table, a planning meeting soon. So that's where we're at.
Thanks, Chief. I would just say, I think it needs to be Indigenous led, but the municipality we're there to support and do what we can.
Yeah.
So wouldn't the first thing, Clifford, be to see what's involved in getting one of those aerial searches? What do they call it?
LADAR or something, or?
Yeah, and that's what Kamloops did. They did it. It was aerial radar or something. I don't know what the name is, but just to see whether there is anything there to look at further.
I think that's what you need to get the funding for. That's going to and more would be very expensive to do. But I think that's part of what Chief Bull's saying. Take a step back and get it all organized.
Yeah.
Even the ground penetrating radar, that's what was used to find it, was those children.
Yeah. I wonder if Mario, are you? I think you're on. It was done at Northway 20 years ago. Do you recall anything about it? Like how that came about, the cost and all that sort of thing?
Basically, it was a company by the name of Landmark. What we were doing is we were trying to core into the ground physically with augers, and it was very invasive. Nobody felt good about doing it. We conducted an investigation. We worked with Ontario's cemetery registrar out of Toronto, and they passed us on to Landmark. And Landmark, they have a ground penetrating program that's very effective. They do it in a grid situation. We gave them the scope of the work. They provided us with a cost. We sent it to council. Council approved it. We brought them in and we had it done. And mind you, back in 2001, I'm expecting the information that the ground penetrating surveys do today are a lot more elaborate and more efficient than it was back in 2001.
Do you remember what it costs, just offhand?
Wow. I'm sorry, I don't.
Way off the, really out of sight, or?
No. It wasn't at all. It really wasn't. It was quite affordable, and I can't tell you what the cost is right now, but I know in 2001, we didn't have a lot of money to go with, so it couldn't have been a huge cost.
Yeah. Maybe that's the first thing to look at, is what would the cost be for that, and it may be quite reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Is Landmark still doing it, I wonder?
I have no idea. I'm sorry.
Huh.
There's probably more companies out there that do it too, so it'd be more competitive than it was back then. It was a new thing back then. Like sonar penetration.
Yeah, okay. So thank you, Michelle, with the update from Jennifer, and that sounds really good. And I guess with the ground penetrating radar and all that, it's going to be a longer process, I would think, because if they're looking at Pelican and they find something, it would have to be treated like a crime scene, I would imagine, and cause of death and when and everything. It's going to take quite a long time, and it'll be another trigger for a lot of the residential school students who are still alive and still thinking about these things, and maybe being in school at that time when these things happened. So I think in that way, it's been kind of a hard recent with the recent findings in Kamloops. It strikes something within the students, and so that's why we always try to put out these helplines, and that people can call if they have problems with whatever's going on. And we'll see that more and more. I think they're finding they found 104 bodies in Brandon, I hear, and they're starting to find some in Saskatchewan and other places. So there's over 100 and something residential schools, and I know the numbers are just going to keep climbing and climbing and climbing. I think with the TRC, when they did all that, there's a missing children chapter within the report, and I think it was something like 3,000 and something children, maybe up to 4,000 children who were not accounted for, and they don't know what happened with them. So, and we have that here too with those two boys who were under the OPP missing file for a long time. And what I noticed there, they went missing in October. It wasn't reported by the principal until November, so some of those things were not even taken care of back in the day. So anyway.
Darlene, do you know those other places, Brandon, Saskatchewan? Do you know how they determined that number? Were they using that sonar penetration method?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I haven't seen an article on how they found those ones.
And also, what, maybe Mario, you can answer this, because you went to the TRC about, when you were doing your research, you went to the TRC about burials from Pelican as well. Did you not?
Yes, I did. And they were very, very helpful. The who wasn't really helpful, if I can add this, is the federal government. Dealing with the federal government is like a dog chasing its tail. They'll send you in circles. They will give you nothing. That was the issue. And we do know that in the research that I did of Professor Braden, is that we do know that children from our area were sent all over the place, like to Brandon and down east, and it was horrible. It was, and where they died, that's where they buried. So I'm expecting that there's a lot in various communities, like in Thunder Bay. When they went to the sanitarium in Thunder Bay, many people were buried there, and they're lost. And so I think it's more than who's buried in residential schools. I think it was a travesty, really. They're everywhere.
Yes, Eileen?
Looking at the north part of Northway, but is there possibility that there might have been burials in that land that's to the right of, am I thinking, yeah, Northway, kind of just in front of the zone hospital, just to the south of the zone? Has anyone?
There was speculation about that back in 2001.
Yeah.
And we did have lengthy discussions with Jim Morris. Jim Morris was going to, I think he was thinking of doing some ground penetration in that area. And then I was pulled out of cemetery, so I don't know what happened then. But I believe that it was determined, and I don't know how, that there was no one buried in that section. And sadly, the zone hospital has been filling that area because it was kind of like marshy and swampy. So they've put in a lot of fill in that area. So you'd have to go pretty deep if you're going to do an investigation.
Okay. All right. Okay, so for now, we'll just move on to D. 8D, Memorial Walk from Sioux to Pelican Falls First Nations High School. And that was brought to me by a person in the community who wanted to do a walk from Sioux to Pelican Falls. And so I was just kind of throwing it out there to see if there was anything that was upcoming, or if anybody had any ideas on what we could do with this walk. No comment?
This is just my thoughts. I would prefer we all make our way to Pelican first, whether by bus, probably bus. Whoever wants to walk, go to Pelican and do the recognition ceremony there. Whatever needs to be done, then we walk. We walk from there to the First Nation. Because I think if you're going to walk to school, people will get triggers and say, I'm not walking to that school. Why should I walk? But if you walk from the school to home, then you're more apt to walk.
Okay.
That's just a thought.
Yeah.
And we can do something here at First Nation. when people arrive.
Okay.
If people can't make it, maybe they can go as far as the, you know where the turnoff is?
Mm-hmm.
We could at least walk to there and then maybe stop the walk. Because me, I can probably only walk that distance only. Being a diabetic, I'm afraid of getting blisters on my feet and getting an amputation.
I think, yeah, I think one of the things that it's a very complicated thing to organize, you know, in terms of
Mhm.
safety, in terms of getting police escorts, all that kind of stuff, you know,
Yeah.
having checkpoints, people. I don't know. I'd be very wary about trying to organize like something like that because of the risk.
Yeah.
And
I w- the only walk that we do every year, and then we're going into our 5th year, I think now, is the walk from Frog Rapids to the tourist travel information center.
yeah,
Walking into town, being visible, being orange, to me that brings local awareness. So, and plus it's not that long of a distance, so somebody
yeah.
could.
We're
Yeah.
talking 10 miles, I think, to Pelican from DIC.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you know, and you have to have, we need a lot of people. You need checkpoints, you need people with water.
Yeah.
And
And then what else?
first aid. You need first aid.
We would need Treaty 3 for their health support program. They've come out to a walk that we did once in the past, and they were driving back and forth along the road, stopping, talking to you, and asking if you're okay, blah blah blah, and providing that kind of mental health support for people. So, but and they knew that we knew that they were there if we needed them. So, yeah, mental health support, I guess. Yeah, it's quite a task to do a walk. So
yeah.
So maybe we'll just hold off on that until Orange Shirt Day, the local walk.
Yeah.
All right. We'll move on.
Sorry, can I ask something? But
Yeah.
I was kind of liking the idea that Chief Clifford suggested of starting at the school and then walking, if people wanted to, into the community. And maybe, like, if people could only walk 1 mile, but it could be like a relay. People, some people could walk the first mile and someone else do the next piece, so that it wasn't too hard on people. I mean, it would require some organization, but it might be very significant for people to do that. Was there any idea from the person that contacted you, Darlene, of when they thought this would happen?
No, they didn't say when or anything. So, and I know they're big walkers around town. So, yeah, I think they want to do something. But excuse me.
What about just a memorial out at Pelican or something? I guess.
Yeah, I think in the future we need something done, and maybe Garnet would. He might have some idea on what we need. I think we need something out there, either a feast or something.
I thought he had a memorial plaque that he's been hanging on to.
Oh,
He was waiting for the right time to have it presented. Or do you remember? Do you recall him? Any of you recall him saying that he got it from the TRC, some big monument or something?
Exactly. Yeah.
I do recall something like that, Chief, yes.
Yeah, because he was talking about, I want to pick the perfect time before I, do the whatever needs to be done with that plaque. I don't know if it's a plaque or what it is. It's some kind of a small memorial monument. I don't know what he has, but it's at his house. But I'm not sure what he has, what his plans are with that.
I guess we'll have to ask him then, for sure.
We could do it. We could put that whatever that monument at Pelican or something. Have a big ceremony. Well, I don't know where. Be up to.
Oh, are you talking about that rock that's just before? No, there's a rock, isn't there? Is it just before Pelican? No, or is it just before Black Sioux?
Along
There's
that,
a rock with is that before Pelican?
you
You know,
mean on the
there's a
ground
little,
there?
yeah, there's a little kiosk, and then they're housing a big boulder.
Yeah, and then there's a rock on the left side of the road going
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I see a rock there.
yeah,
that's at Pelican Road, isn't it?
Where those
Yeah.
planted trees are.
that's where they're saying, well, that rock. I'm not sure about the planted trees, but some people are saying that's where there might be graves there. That's what they were saying. That's
Oh,
where
yeah.
they might have planted the trees there. That's why.
Okay.
Now, those trees were very small when I went there in Pelican.
Yeah.
Now they're huge.
Yeah,
Spruce trees.
I know they're all in a line because the rock for me was my where I learned how to start smoking. And when we had to run away, we got caught, ran away, and we were trying to run by those trees all dizzy, but they were all in a row too. So it was kind of funny memory for me anyway. But yeah, we'll have to ask Garnet, I guess, about the plaque and something like that. And the other thing he expressed was maybe starting the healing circles again, talking circles. Eileen, you were there when he said that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at some point, I don't know, we might need them, I think pretty soon, depending on what comes up with all the other discoveries across Canada. And yeah. Eileen, did you want to say something?
Well, I was just wondering what things are happening next Monday, National Indigenous Day, and is it too short a time to have something out at Pelican at the memorial site there?
I'm not sure.
And
Well, I was told to show up at 10:30 with the flag, the Lac Sioux flag, and we're going to raise a flag somewhere. I'm not sure where. I think it's at the Tourist Information Center.
Oh,
10:30
on Monday?
Monday. Yeah,
Okay.
I have the flag, but I just need to know where to go. Municipal office or the Tourist Information Center.
If I may, Chair,
Yes.
Chief, you were invited to come. You weren't told. We wouldn't do that. Yes, that's if 10:30 was the time, I can't. I can look at. I'm sure it's 10:30. That sounds right. And so actually, I had that on the next item on the agenda. Was one of my additional items, Chair, Indigenous Peoples Day.
Yeah.
We have our flags at half mast now, and Michelle, we were wondering how long we were doing it. Michelle, I think, found out we'll take our cue from the federal government. Is that right, Michelle?
Yes, correct. They still have on their website that their flags are to remain at half mast until further notice. So when they raise theirs, we will raise ours.
So the plan, Chief, is 10:30. The TIC. We're still under the restricted gatherings. I think we can. I'm not sure what the gathering outside is. Michelle, is it 10 or 25 or what?
I believe under the first stage, you're allowed to gather in larger groups, but only for specific purposes outside. I believe the limit is 10 for something like that.
So just
And
thought
social distancing.
the chief was that
Buddy.
that you would come in and we'd raise the flag to half mast, the Lac Sioux flag to half mast, and say a few words. What's appropriate? I'm looking for ideas.
I guess you could broadcast it um, by or do a live broadcast.
I think last year we did that with Mike Laverty. Did it? I'm not sure, Michelle, what
Yeah.
Chris could do now.
Yes, Mike won't be able to do it this year, but we can certainly ask Chris to do it. It may not be live, but he'd be able to post it right after the ceremony would be done.
All right. So what about now? Is that it for item E, Indigenous Peoples Day?
I just wanted to ask the chief, invite the chief, not tell him. When you come in, be prepared, as you always are, to say a few words on for the recording that will then be posted out, and I'll say a few words as well, a few less than you as appropriate.
All right, I can do that.
All right.
I too will do what I'm told.
Yeah, I'm going to be, we're planning some events too here. We're going to have some, I don't know, some activities for the children, and probably a fish fry, I think we're having, with the teachers and the students, and we're going to get together at Archie's Landing and spend a day with people. Even though there's that 10-person thing, we're going to have about 150 people. So we did that at the fish derby. So
As the chair of the health unit, it's really hard for me to show up to things like that. It really is.
we did that with the fish derby. We had 200 people, and we were in the midst of COVID.
All right. And now we'll just go to 8F, Canada Day, July 1st. Who's speaking to that?
So just usually in town, the Lions Club organizes the Canada Day. Last year they did a drive-through, I think, cake pickup, if I recall. That's what happened. Michelle, Joyce, do you remember? Anybody? I think that was it. I'm not sure. Do you have any idea what they're planning this year, Michelle?
I think it's going to be low key again this year because of the restrictions. I know for sure that we're not going to have fireworks. I was just advised of that last week.
So I guess I know that some of the municipalities in BC, perhaps close to, have, I'm not sure what they're doing for Canada Day, not celebrating, whatever. I'd be interested in the group's feeling on what, I mean, it's all low key in the municipality. Do we actually organize anything ourselves, Michelle?
On Canada Day, usually it's mostly the fire department. They organize all kinds of games and stuff like that at the waterfront, in conjunction with the Lions Club getting the fireworks, and then our fire department sets them off in the evening. But usually it's a organization that puts it, multiple organizations that put on festivities or activities.
So maybe there's no real decisions for us to make. It's other organizations that are making their own decisions. And
yeah, and this year we're not, of course, the waterfront's not finished yet, and because of the restrictions, we're not going to be doing anything with the fire department.
I'm not sure, Chief. Do you normally do anything in Lac Sioux, and are you treating this year differently? Not because of the COVID, but because of Kamloops.
Well, I was going to present something to the council and say that we do a walk from Pelican back to the community in support of the Kamloops children that were found. We might do just a short one too. We don't know yet. It needs to be planned, and we need people to buy into it. And if there's no interest, then I'll see what people say. in support of the Kamloops communities that are doing the same thing. So I won't know that till later. If there's interest, then we'll do it. If there's no interest, then we normally just have activities and maybe fish feast. That's all we do. Games. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, and I think when we talk about Kamloops and Canada Day, most First Nation people are saying they're not going to celebrate Canada Day. They're going to wear orange on that day. So that's what I'm hearing anyway. And all right.
I think it is it QA one that said they were going to have a day of mourning.
Yeah, it's a day of mourning. Yeah, that's right. And Bearskin said it. Bearskin Lake. Too.
Well,
Yeah. So I'm not sure what Nan is doing, if they've released anything. So yeah, we'll have to keep our eye on what's going on around this, I guess.
All the leaderships are on hiatus, eh? There's AFN, NAN, Chiefs of Ontario. They're all having elections,
Oh, yeah.
and a lot of the business has stopped while people go on election mode. There's actually an election tomorrow, I think. Chiefs of Ontario.
So we'll have a new orc, as they call him or her, orc. All right. Okay, so just keep us updated then, Chief, about Canada Day, and if we can, we'll help from Sioux. All right. Next is the work plan for number 9. We have the annual work plan. Anything going on with any of these initiatives under the work plan?
And speak to it, Chair. Through you, Darlene, to the committee, the Northway Section Cemetery 1 memorialization event. Unfortunately, we had to move the meeting again. Things we were having bad luck with staff trying to get together to discuss it. So we'll have an update. I just reminded Brian that we have to set up a new meeting date this week or early next week. So we'll have an update for the committee at the next meeting. Again, the development of the relationships with Nishnabega Friendship Center. I did have that meeting with Jennifer Thomas, so we'll be updating this and providing more information as we move along with reference to having a celebration next year with a powwow. One thing, a subcommittee, oh yeah, and the subcommittee update, we met, I believe earlier, we met last week, the subcommittee for the renaming of Bumperville Park. There's numerous discussions about naming streets and all kinds of name places, and it's a very interesting conversation. Garnet brought up the idea of having a specific goal in mind, because the main reason why this committee was formed was for the renaming of Bumperville Park. So what I'm going to do is work on a little bit of a terms of reference as to how we're going to go about doing the consultation and things of that nature to arrive at a name to be proposed to the main TRC committee, and then to council, and then of course to the ministry to change the name. Part of the meeting, it was we had a really informative and interesting guest that was part of the correct me if I'm wrong, who's at the, Aileen, what was it, what was the something circle in Dryden, what do they call it? Shoot. It was a committee that was formed to rename the Colonization Drive, and so they're moving forward, and they went through different ways in which they consulted the community to come up with the new names for Colonization Drive. So he presented, one of the committee members presented to the subcommittee, and it was interesting. So we're going to feed off of that with reference to how we move forward to make sure that we consult appropriately for the renaming of Bumperville Park. The only other thing on the work plan that I see here is Aileen updated the committee tonight with reference to possible funding from the United Church, and we'll follow up on that when the funding comes out or the applications for that comes out, so that we can apply to hopefully have the workshop later this year.
Yes, Irene?
Yeah, sort of comment, because I raised it at that committee, was we had a conversation a while back about the loss of the sign at the airport. At the old airport, there was in syllabics the Ojibwe name for the area. And also it said airport in syllabics. And when the renovations happened, that sign came down. And I remember asking about it, you know, would it be kept? Would it be put up again? And then that sort of disappeared off the agenda. And then when we brought it back again, I think Mayor Lawrence, you had found out you'd contacted someone at the airport and the sign had gone to the dump. So there are some signs that are in both English and Ojibwe, kind of at the entrance and arrivals and departures. But so I'm just asking again, would it be appropriate for the airport to have signage? Which then takes me to, as I drive around town, I see these huge, great big signs that tell you where everything is in English and French, but not in Ojibwe.
Michelle?
Just with reference to the signs around town, that was specific funding that they would not fund any, believe it or not, any other language. That was our wayfinding signs. It had to be, it was stipulated it had to be in English and French. I believe Mayor Lawrence may be able to, this kind of was in the works when I came, but maybe perhaps Joyce or Mayor Lawrence would be able to comment, not that I want to put you on the spot, but I don't know if it was considered to have the Ojibwe syllabics or even the English spelling of some of those words on the signs as well. I know that when I spoke to our development services manager about that, when the signs were going up, he indicated that the funds just weren't there to do it, and also the signs would have had to have been really, really big. So we did discuss it briefly, but I know at the time the funding was specifically for French and English. We thought about, it was discussed that perhaps the French wasn't as important as the OG Cree would have been, but because we were receiving funds from the our federal counterparts, it had to be bilingual in our official languages.
What were you asking us, Michelle?
I was just asking if there was, like, when they were talking about when it went to council for the wayfinding signs, if it was talked about whether or not to include Ojibwe wording.
Oh, I personally don't recall it coming to council.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there may have been some, you know, within a budget that wayfaring signs sort of, you know, hidden within some other thing, but I don't recall
Okay.
specifically
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I don't think it came to council. My only memory is finding out about it and saying, "Come on, can we not do something?" And there was as somebody said earlier, there's a brick wall of the federal government and the funding, and that was it. So that's what we have.
Mm-hmm.
Was it the official language for official languages for Sioux? Wasn't it a long time ago during the days of Mayor what's his name, Lawrence Martin? when it was declared that Ojibwe Ojibwe was or one of those was declared an official language as part of the town.
That would have been back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Lawrence Martin was in the 90s, I think. Yeah.
Was it 90s?
92 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have any knowledge of that, but I was going to say, could we not get plaques made to add to, just put to the bottom of the sign?
I'm gonna have to dig up something, because I know they declared besides English or French, an indigenous language.
That's good to know.
Yeah, because I was living elsewhere and I remember hearing about it and thinking, wow,
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing could apply to the signs when you enter the town, which at the moment just say Sioux. So we could add to those ones.
Sure.
Are you
Maybe that's
speaking of-
something to be looked at, Michelle?
Are you speaking, sorry, Eileen, are you speaking of the two signs, the one at the airport and the other one at the other entrance coming into town that have our logo on it? And it's like, those signs?
No, not the ones with the logos, but the, kind of green with white lettering, kind of the
Oh, the MTO signs.
MTO, yeah.
Yeah, we can certainly follow up, because what a lot of different municipalities are doing too is they're putting their logo in a hub and a tagline at the bottom, and MTO is okay with that. There is a cost to it, but I can follow up on that.
Mm-hmm.
And that we can talk to them about having that changed, yes.
Yeah.
So the signage, we'll add that for the next meeting too, eh? Yes, Ivy? Sorry.
Are we still on the work plan?
Yeah.
Okay, then after the work plan, I have one other idea that just came into mind.
Okay. Anybody else for the work plan? Just to finish it off.
Are we gonna look at what it would cost to add syllabics to the existing way signs?
Thanks.
That would have to be a recommendation from the committee to council first, to explore that possibility. Council would probably have to approve it before we go ahead.
Can I suggest, Michelle, that for the next TRC committee meeting, we come back with some wording for a few recommendations to council? Then the committee would have a kick at tweaking the wording for there's a few things that are being discussed today that I think I'd like to see informal recommendations to council.
So one is the MTO signs coming into the municipality, recommendation to council for the wayfinding signs. And the syllabics on the airport sign.
Yeah. And that could be the, anglicized letters as well as the syllabics.
Those were the three, right?
Mm-hmm. I've got someone coming in my door. I'll be back in a sec.
Okay, so I will add that a motion to that effect for the next meeting.
Yes, Mario?
I just have more of a question. It has to do with Bumperville Park and the renaming of Bumperville Park, dealing with MTO. They're willing to change the name. However, one thing I've noticed is that the park is now open. There's no more, you can actually drive down there right now. So I haven't gone down there, but I plan to do so. But I noticed that on the grounds, what they have is they have a big plaque down there saying that Bumperville passed this way and blah, blah, blah. Is MTO going to add a plaque regarding the indigenous use of the shores to do fishing, or is there anything going to be there so that when you drive down into this new park, you're going to know what this park was about? That was just my question.
Through you, Darlene, at our subcommittee level, that was discussed because they noticed that the plaque was there, like, you know, talking about Mr. Bumperville. And so that was a question that was kind of posed at the subcommittee level. So we'll be following up on that as well. As we, you know, we move closer to finding a name, we'll talk to MTO and ask them if they're going to, you know, do something to that effect for the renaming of the park as well. It may be something that the municipality may have to pay for, but we'll have to figure that out when we get there. But it was discussed at the subcommittee level.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Good.
I have to do a lot of bake sales for fundraising.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's good. Okay, so that's it for the work plan, I guess, number 9. We finished that. And anybody else have anything to add? Yes, Eileen?
Sorry. And this goes back to the naming committee and the wish to celebrate, to have some celebration of the renaming of Equiminis. And one of the things was mentioned that there are people, I think it's a Spence family who live in Dryden, who own the property, I believe actually own the island. And so it would be good for the municipality to contact them around the renaming. I understand that because they own it, then whatever the group is that is responsible for changing names may already have been in contact with them, but maybe they haven't. So I was thinking it would be good if maybe someone from the municipality contacted the family, and their name and contact should be on the, whatever you call it, the title deed, or I don't know what the terminology is, but land title.
I looked at a map under the M&R, and it does come up as Equiminis.
Good.
Yeah, so I don't know how. I wasn't sure if it was changed, but it is Equiminis now.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, and but I don't know what the family and if they need to know, or I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, it would seem.
They must have been told, no?
Well, but have they? You know, that would be my question: is do they know?
Yeah.
You know, could the municipality look at the title deed and get the contact information and contact them to, you know, to let them know that there might be a celebration event?
I mean, we're gonna have a big party at their place. No.
Well, yeah, I think they should hold a feast and invite everyone.
Yeah. Well, I guess we can do what we can to contact them.
I wonder if there's any artifacts there.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's another one, another topic.
Yeah. Okay, so.
And one more.
Sorry, I saw Michelle.
And not so much on the work plan, but just comments going back to the initial. Are we there yet? Like, are we finished the work plan?
I would think so. I thought we were done with it.
Okay,
Mhm.
yeah, because I wanted to just, a couple of thoughts.
Well, hang on, Joyce. Can we have a response around my question? Is it possible for the municipality to, to contact the Spence family?
Is that do you think a political level or administrative level? I'm sorry, Eileen, I'm not sure what you're suggesting there.
Well, I'm not sure either, but if there is going to be,
I can
If you're going to
answer
tell
that.
me what to do, you have to tell me what to do. You can't just buzz it up here.
I'm not telling you nothing, I'm just asking. No, I'm just thinking if there is going to be a celebration, then it might be respectful to contact the family and let them know that there's going to be boats buzzing around in circles around their island.
Canoes.
So, presuming that their name is on name and contact or address or whatever is on the, I don't know what you call it, title deed to the land. Michelle. Yeah.
That would depend if they actually own the island or whether or not they have a land use permit to be on the island. So we'd have to, to answer your question, Amy, we'll follow up and see what we can find out. Because if they do have a land use permit, we can still find that out through M&R. So we'll follow up and see what we can find out and report back to the committee.
Yeah, Vera Comida LaCroix is pretty certainly actually purchased the island.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Vera Comida LaCroix.
I can give you the name if you don't know it, Michelle.
Okay.
She does a lot of sort of history stuff and genealogy stuff. So that was who I asked to find out who it was, because she'd mentioned their names before. And she said she was pretty certain that they had purchased the island.
Okay.
And then she talked a lot about, if there had been places that were where you could do speculation for minerals, they were outlined on a map in purple, and then they were available for purchase, whereas other land was crown land and therefore not. But apparently, anyway, she seemed to know about that.
Okay, we'll follow up. Thank you.
That would be lovely.
And Joyce, did you have?
Yeah, I'm going back to the mayor's discussion about Centennial Park. Is there any kind of is there a monument there now, like a plaque there now? Because there was, back when they put the 7 boulders there, there was a talk about some explanation of that. But the other side of that story is actually kind of not all that nice, in that that all started when previous councils got rid of all the benches there because they didn't want people sleeping there overnight. And it was kind of an unpleasant sort of discussion. And tell you who was involved was Jerry Sawanis. He was involved with that because he wanted to put a bench there in honor of elders. And the compromise ended up being these 7 rocks. Because people wouldn't sleep on the rocks, basically, and then there was talk that there would be a plaque that explained the 7 grandfather teachings of the 7 rocks. The rocks were brought in from Lac Sioux, I believe, and there was a ceremony surrounding them. So there's a little bit of history behind those rocks. Do you recall, Clifford? Was that was in your time, was it?
I don't recall the rocks being brought from Lac Sioux.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they were.
Or it could be, yeah, maybe it was Pelican. Maybe it was from Pelican School.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there was a ceremony surrounding it, and so anyway, you know, I guess that's just for information. But it would we should include, I think, the teachings of the seven, right? That those 7 rocks include the 7 grandfather teachings.
Yeah, I know at the Minnehawen site there years ago, we had rocks put in there, east, west, north, south, the four direction. I believe it was, I'm not sure if it was 7 or 4, but anyways, everybody was told to bring. I was asked to bring dirt from their communities,
Mm-hmm.
a bucket of dirt, and then we had a big ceremony at the site, and then we kind of just threw the dirt in the middle there, and kind of
Oh yeah.
symbolizing unity and that kind of thing.
Okay. I wonder if they did come from the Minnehawen site. I don't know.
I don't know it, but they may have.
I think maybe I'll send an email to Dennis Lenny. He was involved, so he might know. Anyway,
It would be really nice to sort of rehabilitate Centennial Park. It always annoys me they took out the seats because people were sitting on them.
mm-hmm. No, that was just it. There was a lot of protests too. People were going down having sit-ins and
Yep, I was there.
yeah.
Okay, Mayor, yes.
So I think what I'm going to suggest, Joyce, is that, and to the committee, I'd like to work with Michelle just to come back to have a draft recommendation for the committee to consider regarding Centennial Park, and then we can, for the next meeting, and then we can sort of work it around the table there of how to proceed. I don't want to get into the details before we get it. To me, the general concept is we want to do something. Here's some general ideas, and then frame out how we proceed. It's not, as the chief had said, we know we want to do something, but draw up a general terms of reference, step back, and then get some detail worked out, because I don't want it to just. I'd like it to be something special. It's meaningful. Anyway, that's Michelle. I'll be talking to you.
All right. And I guess that's it for the work plan now. Anything else at this meeting? Anything that anybody forgot to bring up or say? Yes, Michelle.
Sorry, Darlene, to the committee. If we could just briefly, once we just get the next meeting date out of the way before we adjourn, do a very, very quick closed session.
Okay.
So what we'll do is we'll take it off recording and live streaming and have a quick closed session. So if we can add that, that would be great.
Okay. All right then. I guess we'll just go to number 10 then, and just the next meeting date is for July 19th, 2021 at 5 p.m. by Zoom again. So that's it. Then the meeting will be adjourned. Is there anybody who wants to make the motion to adjourn the meeting?
No, can we have a motion to go into closed and then we'll come back out of closed and adjourn afterwards?
Oh, okay.
Okay.